What's up, guys? It's Joe talking about the Kansas State Wildcats and the transfer portal once again. And in the last video, you might have seen it, we talked about 3 potential fits that I thought would fit well in Manhattan. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 bigs, 3 guys at the end of the transfer portal that I think will be absolutely great in Manhattan. Before I get into the video here, I want to talk a little bit about a giveaway we're going to be doing as the channel continues to grow. I mentioned in the last video that my goal would be to hit 1,000 subscribers by the football season. If and when we hit 1,000 subs on the channel, I want to give away one of these super sweet lavender quarter zips. I've been rocking them basically all year. They have been my favorite. They've been tough to get, but I do want to give one away for one of the subscribers on the channel. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and help us out by hitting the subscribe button and helping us get to 1,000 subs. But let's kick it off and talk about a few guys in the transfer portal that I have my eye on. Now, in the last video, I talked a little bit about Ray J. Dennis. He was a guy from Toledo. We talked about he's a guard, 6'2", not a big. However, there was a tweet from Trilly Donovan. I'll put it up on the screen here somewhere. And Trilly Donovan, just a reporter guy, follows the transfer portal really closely. Talked about how one particular Big 12 team has a meeting set up with both Ray J. Dennis to get on campus, as well as Daimion Collins, a forward from Kentucky, an absolute monster. Before I go into full detail about Collins, there was another update tweet that said the meeting was canceled, so take that with a grain of salt. We don't know what the situation is. I'm not going to immediately jump off the bandwagon and say it's not going to happen based off the one tweet. However, Damion Collins. Now, when you hear Kentucky, any player associated with Kentucky, odds are they're probably pretty good, or at least have some major potential. That's the case with Damion Collins. He didn't get much playtime in his first year at Kentucky. In the K-State game, he didn't play, so we didn't get to see him at all. But he's in this category of averaging, 2 points, 2 rebounds a game, just based off the lack of minutes alone. So instead of reading you his stats, I'm going to jump in and talk about 247 Sports, his grading coming out of high school. And I apologize for looking off screen here just to read this one. This is the player we're talking about getting here. A 5-star prospect, a 98 on 247 Sports Index. Talking about Damion Collins here, the 14th best player in the entire country. That's what this guy was coming out of high school. The 3rd power forward in the nation, and the 2 guys that are ahead of him, let me see if you remember these names. Jabari Smith, NBA player. Paolo Banchero, NBA player and #1 pick in the NBA draft last year. That's pretty good company. The #1 player in the entire state of Texas. Now, if you know Texas, Texas is a pretty big state. A very big state. There's a lot of great basketball players in Texas. To be the #1 player, that's massive. The guy was a beast. So here's what the stats come out about the guy. He's a 6'9" center. He's really thin, similar to Naquan Tomlin, but he's a dude that goes up and gets rebounds like crazy. He's a really fundamental basketball player. So this is what Brandon Jenkins, the recruiting analysis, had to say about Damion Collins. Now, Damion Collins doesn't start off great. Collins is a painfully thin and bouncy hybrid forward with long arms. He's quick off the floor and is an explosive leaper and is very mobile with good hands. He finishes with strength around the rim and is developing as a scorer facing the basket. Defensively, he's a high-level shot blocker, which is what I absolutely love to see. He's more than capable of rebounding outside of the rim, outside of the paint. Other than that, they kind of just gush over him, making leaps and bounds under John Calipari. He didn't quite make leaps and bounds under John Calipari, as I personally don't think Calipari did much with him, didn't really know how to handle him. He just didn't really work out for Kentucky. Enters the transfer portal, okay? There's rumors confirmed that he, along with Ray J. Dennis, are going to tour a Big 12 school. The reason I feel it's K-State. Ray J. Dennis, the only Big 12 school connected to him is K-State. We've seen a couple of different reports, haven't seen anything else about a Big 12 school. I could be completely blind and completely wrong on this one. I think both Damion Collins and Ray J. Dennis have a chance to come to K-State. We'll see what the meeting falling out actually means. It could mean nothing for K-State, but I feel decent about it. Now this one here, another one we're going to jump into. Another player, moving forward. Julian Phillips. Now this is one I can read both the stats and 247 Sports. This dude is the former #1 player in the entire state of Missouri. Played for Tennessee last season in the SEC, and the dude can hoop. I mean, he was a great player. All SEC freshman. I don't know a ton of his accolades, but the guy all around explodes off the tape. Last season, he averaged 8.3 points a game, 4.7 rebounds, on 41% shooting from a big, 6'8". I mean, he's a big dude as a freshman. Similar to Tomlin, where he's a little bit thin, but the dude can fly up and down the court in transition, box out, rebound, do just about anything you want him to. And similar to the last stats we read with 247 Sports, this was another player coming out last year in the class, the 19th best player in the country, the 6th best small forward in the country, and the #1 player in the state of Missouri. Similar to the last guy, I'm going to read some names ahead of him at his position that you might recognize. Brandon Miller, bad comparison, obviously, guy in the middle of some Alabama law, gun stuff, not going to mess with all that. Freshman kid from Branson, Missouri. The guy grew up in Silver Dollar City, not exactly Silver Dollar City, but, in that area either way. He'd be a massive player to get on the campus. This is what the exact scouting report said about him. Long, lanky, and athletic, which, let me just say, out of the 3 words that could describe what we want in the transfer portal, long, lengthy, and athletic are exactly what we want. Has an NBA athletic pop to him, another great sign. Has a good feel for the game and a knack for coming up with the basketball. Outside shot is developing, and let me speak to that real quick. He can shoot. He's got a really good form. He does remind me of Tomlin in that aspect of his game where he's putting that next step in He's going to be an NBA player for sure. He's good with the ball in his hands in the open court, straight line driver who can deliver a pass on the move. He's very effective going to his left and effective finishing with his left. He's got high potential and he needs to gain weight and strength, but he's going to be an NBA first-round draft pick. That's the projection they say for this guy. Another great player to come to Kansas State. And while people are going to talk and say, well, there's other schools like Auburn that really made a push for him, people are really thinking he's going to go to Auburn. K-State has been listed as one of the front-runner contenders to land this guy. If you can get a player like that to K-State, I feel great. Immediately. The third and final player. And there's a chunk of people in the state of Kansas that's going to absolutely hate that I'm even entertaining this. Not necessarily K-State fans, but there's a chunk of people, and I'll explain in a second. Ernest Uday Jr., the backup center from Kansas. The guy is a monster. 6'11", big body dude, 230. He's the pinnacle of what we want in a K-State jersey. He didn't see the floor last season at Kansas very much. They had KJ Adams playing the 5, which I don't think he's really a 5 player. He's more of a 4. Either way, Ernest Uday Jr., when he did show up, he had some massive plays. He was an elite level finisher. The guy was throwing down every single lob we saw and blocking just about everybody in the country. This is a dude I immediately want on K-State's campus. Let me read you his breakdown as well. Has a tremendous physique at 6'10", including a 7'2" wingspan. That's rivaling Naquan Tomlin, I might add. He's a quality athlete for a center, which is kind of a subtle dig, but whatever. Plays with energy and runs to the rim. Excels at snatching and finishing lob passes. He's also a dangerous offensive rebounder with the pursuit of positioning and good hands. Not a polished offensive player. We don't need to worry about that. I mean, Jerome Tang is known to be the guy that develops players. We've only seen him for one season, but it feels like Tang's got the ability to unlock everybody's potential, so I'm not too worried about that part. He's got limited shooting range. What are you going to expect there? Tends to play upright and needs to refine his footwork. He does have a go-to right-hand jump hook. He's not a ball handler. He's mechanical in his passing, but tends to make the correct lead. He's a quality rim protector on defense, and he's engaged in that end. He controls space as a rebounder. That's a big body on the court that we need in Manhattan. And I know that, I could be wrong, and I'm sure there's somebody, and you'll sound off in the comments about it. I can't really remember anybody that's jumped from K-State to KU, or vice versa, KU to K-State. And I feel like maybe that's just an unspoken rule of, hey, don't go over there. Don't go 90 miles down the highway. But if Ernest Uday Jr. comes to K-State, after being one of the most liked players on all of Kansas' squad, that'd be unbelievable to see, and we get a great player immediately. Beyond that, the guy, similar to Damion Collins, didn't average a ton of points. He had 2, 2, and 2, I'm pretty sure, with blocks, rebounds, and points. Nationally, he was the 32nd best player in his class, 7th at the center position, and the 7th best player in the state of Florida. Florida is similar to Texas. It's not easy to be the best player in the state of Florida. That's just another tough place. The center's ahead of him. These are some guys I want to read as well. Ernest Uday Jr., the only one on this list that we might scream at and know, I guess. Kyle Filipowski from Duke, who had an amazing freshman year. He's going to go to the NBA for sure. Derek Lively, the second from Duke. Granted, the rich get richer, so both are at the top. But either way, the dude is an absolute monster. And if we can get him wearing purple, I would be over the moon excited to see. That's really what I'm thinking about this video. And I know that more names will enter. We've been connected to a couple of different people. Let's see what happens. I'm excited for the future, but I am so stoked to see if any of these 3 players get to K-State or end up at K-State. We are going to be over the moon excited, and I can't wait to keep talking about it. As the visits start to come out, who's going where, what's going to happen, we'll know a little bit more. And there's still time with the NBA draft process as well to see who's going to be going back to college, who's going to the draft. So some of these guys might jump off the list, some of them might not. Either way, K-State has an opportunity to get some really good bigs still in the transfer portal, and that's just the surface. That's just a couple of guys that come to mind immediately. Thank you again for watching today's video, and once again, if you want one of these super sweet lavender quarter zips or have a chance at potentially winning it, go ahead and consider subscribing. We're going to do it in a 1,000 subscriber giveaway when we cross that threshold. I'll make a video and explain more details down the road, but for now, if you're interested in one of these sweet quarter zips and you don't already have one, go ahead and consider subscribing. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you again. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really love hearing what you guys have to say, and it means a lot to see you guys engaging with the content, so thank you so much, and go Cats.